Jana Jayo Braja Janaranjana Jayo Yamuna Tiravanachari Jayo Kunja Bihari Jayo Yamuna Tiravanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Jayo Kunja Bihari Jayo Gopi Jana Vallabha Jayo Girivaradhari Jayo Girivaradhari Jayo Yashodanandana Jayo Braja Janaranjana Jayo Braja Janaranjana Jayo Yamuna Tiravanachari Jayo Kunja Bihari Jayo Shri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Jayo Shri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayo Gaurani Chai, Jayo Gaurani Chai. Jayo Prabhupada, Jayo Prabhupada. Shri Gaunitai Di Jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you everybody for coming to today's Sri Caitanya Caritamrta class. And today we're going to be reading from the Madhya Lila chapter 9 texts 131 to 132. Oh, sorry, 132 to 133. And we got 133 on the board. Hare Krishna. Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chanda Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chanda Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chanda Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So I'm going to read 132 and then we'll read 133 together. So the chapter is entitled Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu's Travels to the Holy Places. Nayam Sukhapo Bhagavan Dehinam Gopika Sutta Gyaninam Chatma Bhutanam Yatha Bhakti Matam Miha. Translation. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then quoted the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, the son of Mother Yashoda. He's accessible to those devotees engaged in spontaneous, loving service. But he's not as easily accessible to mental speculators, to those striving for self-realization by severe austerities and penances, or those who consider the body the same as the self. There's a tiny little purport here. And it says, this verse, also given in Madhya Lila 8.227, also quoted from Srimad Bhagavatam 10.9.21. This is a verse spoken by Srila Sukadeva Goswami, and he's glorifying the residents of Vrindavan, especially Mother Yashoda, for this service, spontaneous devotional service to Krishna. So now, and it's also mentioned in the previous chapter, when Ramananda Roy speaks the verse to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And now, Lord Chaitanya, after hearing from Ramananda Roy all these verses, a lot of these verses in this chapter are repeated from the previous chapter. Now Lord Chaitanya is speaking those same verses to Venkat Bhatta. So we move on to today's verse. Shruta gana gopi ganera anugata hana Rajeshwari Sutta Bhaje Gopi Bhavalana Shruti Gana Gopi Ganera Anugatahana Rajeshwari Sutta Bhaje Gopi Bhavalana Shruti Gana Gopi Ganera Anugatahana Rajeshwari Sutta Bhaje Gopi Bhavalana. What is this? Anyone like to quote the verse? Thank you. So now we do the word for word. Shruti Gana. The authorities of Vedic hymns. Gopi Ganera of the gopis. Anugata Hana, following in the footsteps. Rajeshwari Sutta, the son of Mother Yashoda. Bhaje, worship. Gopi Bhava, the ecstasy of the gopis. Lana, accepting. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. The authorities in the Vedic literature, who are known as the Shruti Ganas, worshipped Lord Krishna in the ecstasy of the gopis and followed in their footsteps. Please repeat. The authorities in the Vedic literature, who are known as the Shruti Ganas, worship the Lord Krishna in the ecstasy of the gopis and followed in their footsteps. Purport. The authorities in the Vedic literature, who are known as the Shruti Ganas, desired to enter into Lord Shri Krishna's rasa dance. Therefore, they began to worship Lord Krishna in the ecstasy of the gopis. In the beginning, however, they were unsuccessful. When they could not enter the dance simply by thinking of Krishna in the ecstasy of the gopis, they actually accepted bodies like those of the gopis. They even took birth in Brajabhumi just like the gopis, and consequently became engrossed in the ecstasy of the gopis' love. In this way, they were allowed to enter into the Rasa Lila dance of the Lord. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshu Sumritam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Upagdamayam Dadati Svam Vedantikam Namom Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vastaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pajarine Nevashe Sasunyavadi Pastachade Satarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasti Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vastaya Bhutale Shrimati Shivaram Swami Namine Vanchakalpa Trubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. Before I start, I'd just like to take permission from all the assembled Vaishnavas. Hare Krishna. Yeah, so this chapter is where Lord Chaitanya is traveling to all the holy places. And he comes to South India. Actually, before I start, I'm just going to say one thing. I'm probably going to repeat a lot of the things that were said in yesterday's class by Premarnava Prabhu. Because the verses are quite connected. I'd already kind of looked into the verse and studied for it before, so but it's Kali Yuga, we've got to hear things many times before they sink in. Right? Hare Krishna. So Lord Chaitanya is traveling throughout South India. He's visiting all the holy places there. And he comes to the Sri Ranganath temple, the beautiful temple, huge temple, and they've got a deity of Mahavishnu laying down on an Antashesh, huge deity there. And so they are following in the line of Ramanujacharya, which is in the Sri Sampradaya. And they are worshippers of Lakshmi Narayan. So Lord Chaitanya came to this temple and he met a Vaishnava there of the name Venkat Bhatta. And Venkat Bhatta, he invited Lord Chaitanya to stay at his house during Chaturmasya. Chaturmasya is a rainy season in India. It's when the sannyasis can't travel because it's raining too much. So they stay in one place. They follow certain fasts and vows. So Lord Chaitanya agreed, and so he stayed at Venkat Bhatta's for 4 weeks. And during this time, on a daily basis, they discussed the pastimes of Krishna. So they had developed kind of a friendly relationship. But Venkat Bhatta, he was thinking that Lord Narayan is, or service to Narayan is superior to the service to Krishna. Right, and Narayan is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There's no one beyond Narayan. So even Ramanujacharya, Madhavacharya, Nimbaka Acharya, all these previous acharyas, they were teaching Ashvarya Jnana Bhakti, which is bhakti mixed with awe and reverence and gyan. But only Lord Chaitanya came to give Raja Bhakti. So Lord Chaitanya here is speaking with Venkat Bhatta. And in a joking mood, he's presenting his arguments, why Krishna or service to Krishna is superior to service to Lord Narayan. And he was saying things like, how is it that your Lakshmi, even though she's undoubtedly the most chaste wife in the entire creation, but still she desires to be in the rasa dance with Krishna. Why is that? And Venkat Bhatta said, well, there's no harm in Lakshmi wanting to be in the rasa dance because Narayan and Krishna are the same, they're non-different, which is true. Yeah. So then Lord Chaitanya said, okay, why was she not allowed in the rasa dance? And Venkat Bhatta said, I can't answer this question. You're the supreme personality, you answer it. Anyway, so this debate went on backwards and forwards. And then finally we come to today's verse. Lord Chaitanya is quoting today's verse to Venkat Bhatta. And he's saying, well, even the Shruti Ganas, the Vedas personified, they desired to enter the rasa dance, and they were successful in their attempt. So the reason being is because Lakshmi, she didn't want to give up her attachment to Lord Narayan in awe and reverence. So this verse is explaining how the Shruti Ganas or Vedas personified actually were able to enter the rasa dance. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains there are two types of bhakti, there are two types of shraddha connected to that bhakti. There's shraddha connected to Vaidhi, and there's shraddha or faith connected to Raganuga, which leads to sadhana bhakti and Raganuga bhakti, two types of bhakti. You probably heard this yesterday, but I'm going to repeat it. But he said that both of these, bhaktis, both of these, Vaidhi Bhakti and Raganuga Bhakti, they both lead to bhava, which is the goal of sadhana, right? And they're both only achieved through the association of qualified Vaishnavas, devotees. So this is how the Shruti Ganas acquired that position. They had to give up their present conception, I am the Vedas personified, and take birth in Vrindavan as gopis. And by taking birth in Vrindavan as gopis, they were able to follow the mood of the gopis there, and then be able to enter the rasa dance like that. So it's all about following the previous Vaishnavas, qualified Vaishnavas, who are also within that category of advancement, who are following Raganuga Bhakti. And then by their association, we can achieve that. So the question arises, I think it was answered yesterday, it was why and when does bhava appear? So Srila Rupa Goswami says, bhava appears by the grace of Krishna. In the heart of the sadhika who's purified by performing pure devotional service, or pure sadhana bhakti. Shimvatam svakata Krishna punya shavana kirtana Ridi antastohya badrani vidanoti sritsatam. So Krishna, he's in the heart of the faithful devotee, and he destroys the desire for material enjoyment from the heart or the devotee who has developed an urge to hear his messages, which are themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. So that's the process. By hearing and chanting about Krishna's pastimes, reading Srimad Bhagavatam, under the authority of the Guru, then one's heart becomes purified. So Rupa Goswami also explains in the Nectar of Devotion, he says that sadhana, bhakti, isn't the cause of bhava. In other words, bhava is pure devotional service. And pure devotional service and Krishna are non-different. And Krishna is completely independent. In other words, it's not through our sadhana or our effort alone that we achieve Krishna. All right? It's not like, okay, I'm going to chant 64 rounds now a day. You know, I'm going to fast. I'm going to do all these austerities. You know, I'm going to demand Krishna to give me bhava. According to Rupa Goswami, the Nectar of Devotion, it doesn't work like that. Rather, sadhana, or our performance of sadhana bhakti, is a catalyst by which we attain the intense eagerness to want it. In other words, lobha or greed. Lobha or lobium is the intense greed. That's the only thing. So sadhana gives us that by performing sadhana, when our heart is purified. Because sadhana bhakti means purifying our senses. Raganuga bhakti isn't an artificial thing. It's not something that anyone can just attain. Prabhupada warns us about this, the sahajiyas, in how they just think they've attained Krishna. But that's not what Lord Chaitanya has come to teach us, the way. So it is a catalyst by which we attain eagerness, this greed. So Prabhupada talks about eagerness, talks about greed. What it is, there's example like, the example of greed is like if you're walking down a shop and you see a rasgulla shop, and you see a rasgulla, you're looking at the rasgullas, or in England, we're in England, right? Say donuts or something. You see some donuts. We were in London the other day, and I was with Adi Guru on Harinam. We was really thirsty, so we were looking in the shop looking around for some drinks, you know. And there was this donut shop in London, central London. But they had these amazing donuts in the window. Lovely donut. Spirulina flavor. They're all vegan, really nicely decorated. But I was looking at it, like £4 each, and I was thinking, well, it's not like I would have eaten donuts. We don't eat karmic grains, you know. But who's going to pay £4 for a donut, right? So the example is that, okay, you see a rasgulla or you see a donut, and you say, okay, I've got no money. Got no money. But it doesn't matter. You still want it. You're thinking, I've got no money, I still want this rasgulla. It's tasty, I want it. Or the dog is waiting outside the rasgulla shop, and the dog's got no money. And he's waiting, he's thinking, I want a rasgulla, all day he's waiting, so the shopkeeper comes at the end, and then he throws the rasgulla to the dog, and he eats it. So greed is like that, spiritual greed. Whether you qualified or not, we should want it, you know. Of course, we're not qualified. We're not qualified to enter. So, Shishi Varga Kulananda Sitanakshana Harman, Shishi Goni Tai Ki Jai. Yeah, we're not qualified by ourselves to enter these pastimes here, enter Vrindavan. But by performing sadhana bhakti, vaidhi bhakti, rules and regulations which are laid down in scripture, under the authority of the spiritual master, we become purified. The senses become purified. Savo padi vinirmuktam tat paratvena nimalam. Rishikena rishikesa sevanam bhakti uchyate. So, by serving the master of the senses, Krishna, our senses become Krishnaized, purified. And he said there are two side effects of this. One is one becomes free from all material designations. And two is the one's senses are purified by being employed in the service of the Lord. Atashi Krishna nama dina bhavet karam indriyahi sevan mukhahi jivadi swayam vasparati adha. So Krishna, he's not accessible. He cannot be attained so easily. His pastimes, his qualities, his form. But if we engage our senses, especially the tongue, starting with the tongue, by speaking about Krishna, by chanting Krishna's holy name, then we will be able to attain Krishna's nama, his rupa and his lila, his name, his form and his pastimes, like that. So then this way we become qualified. It's not like you jump straight to Raganuga Bhakti, like the Sahajas. Sahaji is the saying, I have seen Krishna. I have seen Krishna. But that's not Lord Chaitanya's mood. Lord Chaitanya is coming in a mood of Srimati Radharani. And that mood is Ripalamba Bhav, separation. Lord Chaitanya is never saying, I have seen Krishna, I have seen Krishna. His mood is, when will I see Krishna? Or where is Krishna? Lord Chaitanya is searching for Krishna everywhere. And that is also the mood of all the acharyas in our line. And in this way, one develops the intense urge and greed to want Krishna, rather than just artificially saying, I've got Krishna, you know. So Srila Rupa Goswami says in the Nectar Devotion, he says, when we are free from material contamination, at that point we can fix our minds on a particular personality in Vrindavan, a particular devotee. And remembering them constantly, we can love Krishna in the same capacity as that devotee, in the same capacity, in the same mood. And in this way, he said, the mind will always reside in Vrindavan, will always be in Vrindavan. Because Vrindavan isn't something you can attain by acquiring a ticket. Even though these days that's difficult. You've got to get visas, to get so many things. Getting there is not so easy either. But that's a material thing. Vrindavan is something we have in our heart. Yeah? So we're constantly thinking of Vrindavan, we're thinking of the residents of Vrindavan, we're thinking of Krishna's pastimes. We're in Vrindavan. Right? Sometimes you could be in Vrindavan, but not actually in Vrindavan. Right? You can sit in all the tea wallas drinking Campa Cola. So many things. But, you know, you could be anywhere in the Western world, totally absorbed in Krishna. Totally absorbed in devotional service, following the instructions of the spiritual masters. And in this way, we become qualified. We develop that intense greed, that intense desire to want it. And then Krishna, because he's independent, it's up to him whether he gives it to us or not. You know? It's not like I'm demanding, okay, I've done so many austerities, Krishna, I've done so much this, I've done 20 years, 30 years Sankirtan, I've done this, this, and this. You have to give it to me. No. That's not the mood. The mood is humility, serving the spiritual master, and especially serving those who already have Raganuga Bhakti. Then you can achieve that. Because this is what the Shruti Ganas here are doing. They're serving the gopis. So the question is, well, we may have the question, well, where are the gopis now? I don't see any. Do you see any gopis? You see gopis? How do we serve the gopis if you want that? If you want Vrindavan, Raja, Bhakti. So the gopis, they are manifest here in the form of the spiritual masters. All our acharyas, they're all gopis, more or less. Some of them maybe not, but, like Thakur is Kamala Manjari, previous, that's his eternal Sarup. So we're serving Bhaktisiddhanta, Srila Rupa Goswami, Rupa Manjari, Ramananda Roy. Ramananda Roy is saying he wants to take the dust from the lotus feet of Rupa Goswami, because Rupa Goswami is also Manjari. So we're following the instructions of the acharyas. Just like here, when we're worshipping Shri Radha Gokulananda, Sitaranakshara Haran, Shri Gauranta, we're not worshipping them in Raganuga Bhakti, are we? What are we worshipping them? What? Yeah? Ashvarya, or opulence. There's so much opulence here, or reverence. Because everything has to be done properly first, before we become qualified. But at the same time, it's not that we should remain stuck on worshipping Krishna and opulence. That's okay if your destination is Vaikuntha. But if you want something higher, if you want Vrindavan, then at the same time we should also be reading and hearing the pastimes of Krishna and Vrindavan. And this way, by hearing, under the guidance of the spiritual master, we become greedy for wanting that also. So, like I said, it's not an artificial thing, Lord Chaitanya is bringing us Vrindavan, and he's bringing it. Vrindavan is bringing in the form of the holy name, because within the holy name everything is there, right? This is the way in Kali Yuga how to achieve perfection. Nama Chintamani Krishna, Caitanya Rasa Vigraha, Puna Sudo Nitya Mukta, Abhinatvam Nama Namino. So Krishna's holy name is full of all transcendental mellows. Caitanya Rasa Vigraha. All those mellows, all those spiritual mellows, Vrindavan, everything is there within the holy name. And Nama Chintamani Krishnas. The holy name is like a Chintamani gem. It can fulfill all our desires. Spiritual desires. It can actually, the holy name can also fulfill your material desires, so we have to be very careful what we desire. All right? Just like when you read in the Bhagavatam, there are so many descriptions in there of the heavenly planets. And how the demigods are enjoying in Nandana gardens with their wives. And there's rivers of mango juice floating, etc. And so many descriptions. And we have to be careful we don't get diverted, Very easily to get diverted. And instead of wanting the highest thing, we go for something less. Just like Gopa Kamal was traveling Gopakumal, he's a coward boy. In his original Sarup, his service to Krishna. And he went everywhere, all over the universe. Wherever he went, he was not satisfied. He went to the highest planet, Svagaloka, Brahmaloka, everywhere. And he was not satisfied. And he even went to Vaikuntha. And he saw, in Vaikuntha, he saw the opulence, he saw everything so nicely. And he stayed there for a while, did service, but he wasn't satisfied because he's a coward boy. And he wanted to go back to Vrindavan and be with Krishna and engage in eternal service with Krishna in the form of coward boy. So we have to be careful we don't get diverted with so many things. Devotional service gives us the highest thing spiritually, when that's Vraja Bhakti. Devotional service can also give us a lot of material opulence as well. We can get sidetracked. So in Vrindavan, the devotees there, the Vrajavasis, they're not thinking that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For them, Krishna is their son, friend, lover. Yeah. Just like Mother Yashoda, when Krishna's in the forest, she's thinking of Krishna, but she's worried that Krishna is stepping on so many thorns. Krishna's lotus feet, the bottom of his feet are very soft. They're like the petals of a lotus flower. So Mother Yashoda is thinking, my son's in the forest. His feet are going to get pierced by thorns and sharp objects, so many things. And maybe some demons will come in the forest and try to attack Krishna. Like this. So she's thinking like this. She's not thinking, Krishna is the Supreme Lord. He can look after himself. Just like sometimes we ask so many things from Krishna, right? We're asking so many, Krishna, give me this, give me this, give me this. And if I have this, I can engage in devotional service. If I don't have it, it's going to be difficult for me. Come on, Krishna, Yeah, I need a new car. I need this, I need that. I need a house, Right? But Krishna, he asks from his devotees in Vrindavan. He wants something from them. Right? So there's that verse. It's in this chapter and also in the previous chapter, where Krishna is in the Rasa dance and he's putting his arms around the gopis. So the acharyas are saying, well, why is Krishna put his arm around the gopis? It's like a child putting the arm around the mother. Because the child wants something from the mother. What does the child want from the mother? Anything, right? Right? Oh, Mum, remember those Nike trainers we saw the other day when we was walking down High Street? Please, can I have? So what does Krishna want from the gopis that he can't have from anyone else? Can't have from Mother Yashoda, can't get from the coward boys, Nanda Maharaj, can't get from the cows, or any devotee. And that's only the gopis possess Mahabhav, the topmost love of God. So Krishna wants that from them. Yeah. Krishna wants the love from Mother Yashoda. He wants the love of his Gopa friends. Yeah. So Krishna wants, but we are always asking Krishna for something. Yeah. That's the difference between Vraja Bhakti and Ashvarya. Krishna is asking them, Um, so, we're being given the opportunity to have the highest thing in the universe, Everything is lower to what Lord Chaitanya has come to give. And we should make the most use of it. We shouldn't let it crumble. We should make an effort. The Acharyas have given us the process, and therefore we should follow it properly. Otherwise, trillions and trillions of births were taken here, and we can miss the opportunity, So, just like sometimes we think, oh, I'll engage in devotional service tomorrow, or I'll make an effort tomorrow. Not today, but tomorrow never happens, right? If we plan always to do things tomorrow, let me focus my mind tomorrow, not today, not now, not at this moment. Let me read Prabhupada's books tomorrow. Let me hear Krishna's pastimes tomorrow. Tomorrow is never going to happen. Because this material world is a very dangerous place, any moment. Our time could be up. And then tomorrow never happened. Right? King Kulashekar, he would always sing, Krishna tvadiya padapankaja panjarantam adya me visatu manasa rajaham saprana pranaya kafa vatapita kantarodana vidur smaranam kutaste. This is a beautiful verse from the Mukundamala Stotra. And Prabhupada actually used to sing this verse to himself in the room when he was alone. And the translation is, he's singing, may the royal swan of my mind enter the tangled stems of the lotus feet of your lordship. Otherwise, at the time of my death, where my throat is choked up and I'm on my last breath, how will it be possible for me to remember you? So, swans swimming in a lake, they delve deep into the network of lotus stems. So King Kulashekar is saying, well, let me do it now. Let me delve deep into the lotus feet of your lordship. Yeah. And what does that mean, delving deep into it means really getting into hearing about Krishna. Because when we hear about Krishna, it should go to the heart, not stay on the intellectual level. It should go to the heart. And when we hear Krishna's pastimes, is something happening here or not? Or is it just in one ear and out the other? So he's saying, no, let me delve deep, deep, deep. And we can do that by following the instructions of the spiritual master and serving those devotees who have that taste, that bhava, serving their lotus feet. Because at the time of my death, he's saying, when, kapha, pitta, kapha, vata, pitta, all the life airs, they're all completely disturbed at the time of death. So how can we think of Krishna? It's impossible, actually. But we have to make the effort now. And by Krishna's mercy, by our effort and Krishna's mercy, it's possible. Not that we're thinking, oh, I will do it. So sadhana bhakti means engaging in devotional service according to the rules and regulations of scripture and under the guidance of the spiritual master. And then our senses become purified, And then with purified senses of mind, we can focus our mind, thinking of Vrindavan constantly, because we're free from anarthas. We're slowly becoming free from anarthas, material contamination within the heart. We can constantly think of Vrindavan. Think of a devotee who's serving, and to be attached to that devotee's mood of service to Krishna, and also wanting that same mood of the devotees. And that's Raganuga Bhakti. So it has to all be done properly, not like the Sahajiyas. And Lord Chaitanya's mood is, where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? When Krishna leaves Vrindavan in the mornings, it's described that all the residents of Vrindavan, they all come out, because they know Krishna's leaving with the cows and the cowherd boys. It's a huge festival. Every morning is a festival. And they all come out. It's described, it's like a river flowing of all the men, women, and children. They're all very eager to see Krishna, because they know they're going to see Krishna they're not going to see him again for a while, because he's going to be in the forest. So some of the gopis are running up the buildings. They're looking. They're trying to get a last glimpse of Krishna. And he's slowly disappearing. They can see the dust cloud created from the hooves of the cows, which is very auspicious. This dust is very auspicious. Krishna rolls in that dust. And then finally Krishna disappears. And then they're thinking, oh, Krishna's gone. What do we do now? They're a bit momentarily stunned that they don't know what to do. So what do? They perform Sankirtan. They glorify Krishna's name, form, pastimes, his qualities. They perform Sankirtan until Krishna comes back in the evening again. And then it's the same thing. They're all coming out looking for Krishna. Where is he? Where is he? So this is the Sankirtan that Lord Chaitanya is bringing to us in the form of the holy name. Nama, Chintamani, Krishna. This is going to fulfill all our desires, all our spiritual desires. Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha, imbued with all the mellows, all the rasas are there. Yesterday we were in London. Some of you may have been there. Massive Harinam. We were graced by the Association of Indujumna Swami. And there must have been over 250 devotees in London yesterday. It was like a mini Rath Yatra. You were there, right? Yeah. And when you see something like that, it's Kali Yuga, but it isn't Kali Yuga. It's not Kali Yuga when you see that. Color, so much color, so many amazing devotees just chanting the holy name. It's not Kali Yuga anymore. That is like being in the spiritual world in one sense. It's only our mind that's stopping us. So, yeah, I mean, it was amazing. 250 devotees at least. So this is what Lord Chaitanya has come to give. And it's only possible through the holy name in Kali Yuga, by really chanting the holy name. And chanting the holy name in the association of devotees like yesterday is the most potent and powerful form of chanting the holy name. Why? Because at the same time we're giving Krishna to others. We're giving others the opportunity. And this is the mood of the gopis. They're not thinking, I just want Krishna to myself. Actually, the acharyas, the manjaris, and the manjaris, they don't even want to be with Krishna so much. They're not interested. They just want to bring others to Krishna. They want to bring Radha and Krishna together. That's their mood. Bringing Radha and Krishna together. Yeah. So I'm going to stop here. Any questions or comments? Hare Krishna. Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Just wondering, also yesterday is mentioned the same, that two types of to attain bhav. You mentioned one is Raganuga, one is Vaidhi, you said. So how
Vaidhi.
this can be compared? Raganuga is on the level of Bhagavat Marga, is already spontaneous. It's not something you practice. Raganuga is very advanced stage. So how these two can be compared?
How do you compare Vaidhi to
because you mentioned that two
Raganuga?
types to attain
Yeah,
bhava.
okay.
So Raganuga is spontaneous.
So Rupa Goswami says in the next of instruction. So okay, how do you know you're getting Raganuga Bhakti? Yeah.
In terms of how it's compared, even these two types, you don't practice Raganuga. Raganuga is already you're already on.
Raganuga is when one has an intense, very intense, deep desire within the heart to want.
It's spontaneous Raganuga.
Yeah, spontaneous. But you have a deep, intense desire within your heart. Rupa Goswami explains in Nectar of Devotion to wanna emulate or follow a certain devotee within Vrindavan. Whereas in Vaidhi Bhakti, we don't have that
in one
intense.
sense, like it's only Vaidhi, because through Vaidhi Bhakti you attain that Raganuga. It's not something you practice from beginning. So
Yeah, but you attain it, but it has to be done properly.
yeah.
Otherwise, you can just stay on that level of
You go through
Ashvarya
Vaidhi.
and end up going to Vaikuntha.
Yeah, of course.
If it's not done, therefore it has to be done under the guidance of the Guru, who already has Vaidhi, Raganuga Bhakti.
Yeah. So you go through Vaidhi. You go into Vaidhi, and then at some point you attain that Raganuga. So in one sense, there is only one way to attain bhava, is you follow through Vaidhi, and then Raganuga happens later on. It's not something separately to practice in that.
Yeah,
sense,
I mean, that's an ongoing question, right? Is it separate, or does it just automatically happen, or is it something you have to make a conscious effort? Yeah, you do have to make an effort. This is why you have to follow those who already have it. Do you understand? Because we're worshipping Krishna and Ashvarya here. So we can stay on that level, right? Or we can move on we can progress. So you have to really, first of all, want it. Greed, lobha. You have to first want it. Right? If you don't want it, then Krishna's not going to give it to you. Right? And how do you develop lobha, greed? Anyone? How do you develop greed? Prayojan Prabhu? He knows.
Sort of a question back to yourself, actually. There's a verse in the, I think it's in Canto 4, where it says, by repeatedly hearing, it becomes ever fresh, ever new. I don't know if we know it. It's like Lord Caitanya is there.
Your question's not connected.
Can you hear me?
Sorry, I thought your question was connected to...
Yeah, it is.
It is.
You're asking about how it...
how do we develop intense greed, wanting it?
It's by repeatedly hearing, and I don't know if people will notice it, but you can read the same verse and then again, read it again later, and it's different. You see something else. So I think it's the more we read Bhagavad Gita, like Caitanya Mahaprabhu, he's completely absorbed in repeatedly hearing and chanting. He has that greed just to keep, because he's tasting all the time, but it somehow becomes ever fresh and ever new each time you repeat. That's my comment on there. Really, that's
So-
all I can say.
So
It's also a question, maybe how you view that. Is it, like you go on Harinams repeatedly, but it's
greed comes.
you get a taste.
Greed comes by associating with those Vaishnavas who already have it.
Yeah,
Because you can't get something from somewhere where they don't have it. You can't go to the bank and withdraw £1 million if you only got £100 in your bank account. So if you want something, you go somewhere where you can get it. And those devotees who have it, by their association and by service to them, you can also acquire it. Kulashekar, you got a microphone? I hope this is a question, a comment, not a question. No.
I think to Runa's point, there's a confusion that they say Vaidhi leads to Bhava, but then the description of Raganuga sounds like Bhava.
Mm.
So what's the
Is that what you're
difference?
saying? Is that what you...
kinda-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
So Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu says that there are two distinct paths of sadhana from the beginning. Sadvidha, sadhana, abhita. And one is Vaidhi, one is Raganuga. So you can practice Raganuga on the platform of Anartha Nivritti. But the Vaidhi sadhana leads to Vaidhi prema. Raganuga sadhana leads to Raganuga prema. And Vaidhi prem means Vaikuntha devotees. And Raganuga means Braj Bhakti.
Yeah.
But the whole thing is dependent upon Guru Padashraya, surrender to Guru. If you surrender to a Vaidhi Guru, you get the seed of Vaidhi Bhakti and you get Vaidhi Prema. But if you surrender to Raganuga Guru and get Diksha in a Raganuga line, then you attain Vraj Prema. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu,
Yeah.
it's explained in that way.
Yeah. You have to go to someone who has it, and they can give it to you. Yeah, it said that the Bhava attained nectar devotion. Let's see. Yeah, the Bhava is attained through sadhana, Vaidhi Bhakti, and the Bhava attained through Raganuga Bhakti. There's a difference. There's a difference. It's not as yeah, it's not the same as the one in Vrindavan. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter for the person who's attained it, because even if you go to Vaikuntha, the devotees there are perfectly satisfied. They're perfectly happy serving Krishna in that mood. Because Krishna is complete. It's not like Lakshmi is any lesser than Vrindavan devotees. It's just a different mood, that's all. It's not like the devotees in Vaikuntha are any less than the devotees in Vrindavan. They're all pure devotees. It's just a different mood. That's all. The mood in Vrindavan is more sweet. And if that's what you want, then that's what Krishna will give you. And in Vaikuntha, it's Shvara, awe and reverence. But the devotees are still completely satisfied. So it depends what we want. But so Krishna is Rasa Muti. Akila Rasamrita Murti. Yeah, which means that Krishna has he's able to relate to every devotee in unlimited way, according to the devotee's rasa, whatever, like that. So we're not saying that everyone's going to go to Vrindavan. Lord Chaitanya has come to give the highest, and he's come to give everything else as well. So if you go to Vaikuntha, there's no loss. But there's nothing like the sweetness of Vrindavan. And that's what we want. That's what Lord Chaitanya has come to give. But he's also come to give everything else as well. Anyone else? Any questions?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, very nice class. Prabhuji, I just want to understand that just by following sadhana bhakti, can one still reach Vaikuntha Dham, even if he's not completely purified of material contamination?
No. You have to be, in order to go back to God, you have to be completely free from material desires. Our desire has to only be to serve Guru and Krishna. Nothing else. Vaikuntha is very, very high. That's not easy to go to Vaikuntha. What do you speak of Goloka Vrindavan? The devotees in Vaikuntha, they only desire to serve Krishna. Just a different mood to Vrindavan, that's all. But we have to be free from all material contamination completely. So, Srila Prabhupada's given us the process. We follow. Then we should become successful. Haribol.
I just wanted to comment on the question by Tarun Prabhu.
Sure.
I just wanted to comment on the question. So there's two types of sadhana bhakti. There's Vaidhi sadhana and there's Raganuga sadhana. Vaidhi sadhana means following the rules and regulations. And Raganuga sadhana is following those that have rag, ragatmika bhaktas.
Yeah.
So that's what Srila Rupa Goswami explains in the Nectar of Devotion. One who's got, it all depends on the swarup of the living entity. If one's got the swarup siddhi of Vaikuntha Prem, that's as far as one goes. But if one has got the swarup of Raja Bhakti, Raja Prem, then at some point in time, just like an expert gardener can smell the different flowers in the garden, an expert spiritual master can smell, perceive what's inherent in a devotee. And then when the devotee reaches a certain stage, then the spiritual master will perceive, you have the swarup of Vatsalya, of Sakya, and then he will instruct the disciple, You should read the pastimes of Sri Ram, or you should read about the pastimes of Mother Yashoda, and that's what is called Raganuga Sadhana. One follows in the footsteps of a particular resident of Vrindavan,
Yeah.
and one cultivates that rag. And through cultivating what is called Raganuga Sadhana, that rag, then one attains to that complete position. So there are two types of sadhana. Anuga means to follow. So Raganuga means to follow one who's got rag. And Raganuga Sadhana means to follow one who's got a particular resident of Vrindavan. So,
Yeah.
that's what's explained. I was just trying to clarify that one can only go through Vaidhi Sadhana. It depends how much one has advanced in one's previous life. If one has advanced very much, you see some devotees, they are naturally attracted to Vrindavan. So
Yeah. Well, the point is, it has to be done under the expert guidance of
the spiritual
one
master.
who has it.
Yes.
Jai. Gyantaraj, Caitanya Charitamrta ki Jai.
His Grace Premarnava Prabhu ki.
Thanks a lot.